Play this violin. I'll marry you. Jonathan Pierce's voice booms across Manhattan's Plaza Hotel, followed by his cruel laughter. Don't worry, sweetheart. It'll be the shortest marriage in history. The tech billionaire drops to one knee before a young black woman in catering uniform, waving a gaudy fake diamond ring. What do you say, servant girl? Ready to become Mrs. Billionaire? 200 elite guests burst into vicious laughter. Pierce stands, brushing his knee like he's touched filth. Actually, let me rephrase that. Play this violin properly, and I'll consider letting you clean my wife's jewelry. He grabs the priceless Stradivarius, holding it just out of her reach. But we both know how this ends, don't we? Those callous dishwashing hands couldn't make this sing any more than a monkey could perform surgery. The woman, Amelia, stands frozen under spotlights, trembling. Pierce smirks at his audience. Ladies and gentlemen, prepare to witness the most expensive joke of the evening. Have you ever been turned into a public joke by someone who thought you were beneath them? 6 hours earlier, Amelia Thompson's alarm clock screams at 4:30 a.m. in a cramped Queen studio apartment. The sound mingles with the steady wheeze of her grandmother's oxygen machine, creating a symphony of survival that has become her morning soundtrack. She rolls off the pull-out couch that serves as her bed, careful not to disturb the medical equipment crowding their shared space. Grandmother Rosa sleeps fitfully in the apartment's only real bed, her weathered hands clutching the blanket Amelia bought from Goodwill 3 months ago. The bathroom mirror reflects a face that carries 28 years of deferred dreams, dark circles under eyes that once sparkled during late-night practice sessions at Juilliard, hands that move with unconscious grace as she braids her hair, the same fingers that used to dance across piano keys with the precision of a surgeon. Those hands tell a different story now, cracked from industrial cleaning chemicals, scarred from kitchen knife accidents, calloused from scrubbing floors in Manhattan office buildings, while classical music echoes in her memory like ghost notes from another life. The kitchen counter holds 3 pill bottles, Grandmother Rosa's diabetes medication that costs $800 monthly. Insurance denied coverage 6 months ago. The eviction notice taped to their door demands $4,000 by next Friday, or they're out. Amelia opens the refrigerator. Half a carton of milk, 2 eggs, wilted lettuce. She calculates silently. Tonight's catering gig pays $300 cash. Tomorrow's corporate cafeteria shift brings another $40. Sunday's house cleaning for the Upper East Side family adds $60 more. Still not enough. In the corner, covered by a faded bedsheet, sits her old Yamaha keyboard. She hasn't touched it in 8 months. Sometimes she catches herself staring at the covered shape, remembering the weight of keys beneath her fingers, the rush of creating something beautiful from silence. The silence where music used to live feels heavier than poverty itself, more suffocating than their cramped apartment, more painful than the constant ache in her feet from standing 12-hour shifts. She dresses in her catering uniform, white button-down shirt pressed to perfection, black slacks that hide the hole near the left knee, comfortable shoes that will carry her through 12 hours of being invisible to people who spend more on wine than she makes in months. The subway ride to Manhattan takes 42 minutes. She uses the time to review French vocabulary on her cracked phone screen, leftover homework from the hospitality management course she's taking online, hoping to eventually manage events instead of serving them. Around her, the morning commuters wear earbuds, lost in podcasts and playlists. Amelia rides in silence, listening to the train's rhythm that sounds almost like the opening bars of Chopin's Nocturne in E-flat major. Her fingers move against her thigh, muscle memory playing invisible keys. The Pierce Industries building looms 47 stories above Midtown. She's worked the corporate cafeteria here for 6 months, serving overpriced salads to tech executives who discuss million-dollar deals while she refills their kombucha dispensers. Today feels different, though she can't explain why. Maybe it's the acceptance letter she glimpsed yesterday in Grandmother Rosa's mail stack. Another invitation to audition for a regional orchestra, another opportunity she can't afford to pursue. Maybe it's the medical bills piling up faster than her ability to pay them. Her supervisor, Maria, greets her with tired eyes. Amelia, good. I need you on the Plaza Hotel event tonight. Big charity gala. Rich people paying $10,000 per plate to feel good about themselves. What's the cause? Amelia asks, tying her apron. Urban arts education, Maria laughs bitterly. Ironic, right? These people will spend more on champagne tonight than most music programs see all year. The morning shift passes in familiar rhythms. Slice fruit, arrange pastries, smile politely while executives complain about coffee temperature, stay invisible, survive another day. But invisibility has a price beyond poverty. It's watching your reflection fade until you forget what you looked like when you had dreams. It's feeling your heart skip when you hear violin music in elevators, then remembering you're not allowed to want things anymore. During her lunch break, Amelia sits in the building's atrium, eating a peanut butter sandwich while fountain water creates background percussion. A businessman nearby plays classical music on his phone, Bach's Violin Partita No. 2. Her fingers begin their unconscious dance against her leg. The security guard notices. "You play?" "I used to," she says quietly. "What stopped you?" "Life," she thinks. "Responsibility. The choice between dreams and survival. Grandmother Rosa's breathing is getting worse every month. Bills that multiply faster than her paychecks. The reality that talent without opportunity is just another form of heartbreak." "Things got complicated," she finally answers. That evening, she reports to the Plaza Hotel's service entrance. The kitchen buzzes with controlled chaos. 200 plates of prime beef, bottles of wine worth more than most cars, desserts crafted by James Beard Award winners. Through the service doors, she glimpses the ballroom. Crystal chandeliers worth more than her yearly salary illuminate tables draped in silk. Men in $1,000 tuxedos escort women dripping with diamonds. A classical trio plays background music, Vivaldi's Four Seasons, and for a moment her chest tightens with longing. "Remember," the catering manager addresses the staff, "you are invisible tonight. Serve, clear, stay out of conversations. These people don't want to see you unless they need something." Amelia nods, securing her name tag. Just another night of being a ghost in someone else's celebration. Just another reminder that some people are born to be seen, others to serve. The ballroom doors open. She picks up her tray of champagne flutes, each one worth more than her hourly wage. The crystal catches the light, creating tiny rainbows that remind her of light refracting through violin rosin. As she enters the glittering world beyond those doors, Vivaldi's violin notes follow her like a half-remembered lullaby. She doesn't know that in 2 hours, music will transform her from invisible to unforgettable. She doesn't know that someone is about to make the biggest mistake of his very privileged life. Jonathan Pierce commands the Plaza Hotel ballroom like a king surveying his kingdom. At 42, he's built an empire that spans 3 continents, turning algorithms into billions and competitors into footnotes. Tonight, he wears power like his custom Armani tuxedo, perfectly tailored, impossible to ignore. He moves through the crowd with practiced ease, champagne glass in hand, surrounded by an entourage of sycophants who laugh at his every word. Tech moguls, real estate dynasties, old money aristocrats who accepted new money's boy into their ranks because his bank account speaks their language. "Jonathan, darling," Margaret Whitmore, heir to a pharmaceutical fortune, air kisses his cheek. "This charity auction is simply divine. How much did you donate again?" $5 million, Pierce replies casually as if discussing the weather. Though honestly, these urban arts programs, throwing money at people who lack natural talent feels like watering plastic flowers. The group chuckles appreciatively. Pierce's smile sharpens. He's known for these moments. Casual cruelties delivered with surgical precision, designed to remind everyone exactly where they stand in his carefully constructed hierarchy. Near the auction display, priceless artifacts gleam under museum lighting. Pierce's contribution dominates the collection, a 1721 Stradivarius violin worth $15 million. The placard reads, "On loan from the Pierce collection of fine instruments." "You play, Jonathan?" asks Senator Bradley, eyeing the violin with obvious envy. "I appreciate artistry," Pierce deflects smoothly. "Some people are born with the genetic coding for true musical excellence. Others," he gestures vaguely toward the service staff clearing tables, "well, they serve those who are." His assistant Marcus hovers nearby, live streaming Pierce's every move to his 2.3 million social media followers. The comments flow like digital applause. "Pierce is a genius. Love how he tells the truth. Finally, someone who isn't politically correct. Pierce notices the classical trio finishing their set. Vivaldi's final notes fade into polite applause. An idea forms. The kind of idea that has made him both famous and infamous across social media platforms. "Ladies and gentlemen," he announces, tapping his champagne glass with a Cartier pen. The ballroom gradually quiets. 200 faces turn toward him expectantly. "Tonight we celebrate urban arts education." How fitting! His voice carries across the room with practiced authority. But I wonder, do we really understand the difference between true artistry and, well, wishful thinking? Murmurs ripple through the crowd. Phones emerge like flowers turning towards sunlight. Pierce's followers know this tone. Something entertaining is about to happen. He strides toward the auction display, his Italian leather shoes clicking against marble floors. The Stradivarius gleams under spotlights, ancient wood bearing centuries of musical history. This violin has been played by masters. Paganini himself may have touched these strings. Pierce lifts the instrument carefully, reverently. It represents the pinnacle of human achievement, both in craftsmanship and in the hands qualified to wield it. His eyes scan the service staff positioned around the room's perimeter. Mostly black and Latino workers in crisp white uniforms, trained to remain invisible until needed. Pierce's smile grows predatory. "I'm curious," he continues, his voice gaining theatrical momentum. "How many of tonight's support staff believe they possess the genetic gifts necessary to make this masterpiece sing?" The discomfort in the room is palpable. Some guests shift uncomfortably, others lean forward, sensing entertainment. Pierce's followers watch their screens eagerly. Their idol is building toward something spectacular. "In fact," Pierce's voice rises, "I have a proposition that might settle this question scientifically." His gaze lands on Amelia, who's clearing champagne flutes from a corner table. She moves with unconscious grace, her fingers handling delicate crystal with the same careful precision a musician might use. Something about her posture, her bearing, irritates him in a way he can't quite name. "You there," he calls out, pointing directly at her. "Yes, you with the natural rhythm." The spotlight operator, assuming this is planned entertainment, bathes Amelia in harsh white light. Every phone in the room swivels toward her like weapons seeking a target. Pierce's entourage exchanges knowing glances. They've witnessed his social experiments before. Elaborate humiliations disguised as opportunities designed to prove his theories about genetic superiority and class distinctions. "I believe," Pierce announces to his captive audience, "that we're about to conduct a fascinating experiment in the intersection of nature, nurture, and delusion." His livestream viewership spikes to 50,000 watching in real time. Comments flood the screen. "This is going to be epic. Pierce is about to destroy someone. Can't wait to see this." The classical musicians pack their instruments nervously. The catering staff freeze in place, unsure whether to continue working or bear witness to whatever their colleague is about to endure. Pierce holds the Stradivarius like a weapon, his smile sharp enough to cut crystal. In his mind, he's already scripting the viral video that will cement his reputation as someone willing to speak uncomfortable truths about human potential. He has no idea he's about to become the star of a very different kind of viral moment. The stage is set. The cameras are rolling. The trap is baited. All that remains is to spring it. "Play this violin, I'll marry you!" Pierce's voice booms across the ballroom, his theatrical gesture silencing 200 conversations instantly. The Stradivarius gleams in his raised hand like a $15 million challenge. Amelia freezes mid-reach for an empty champagne flute. Every eye in the room locks onto her face. Phones emerging like predators sensing blood in the water. Pierce's live stream counter explodes. 75,000 viewers and climbing. "Come now, don't be shy." Pierce drops to one knee with exaggerated chivalry producing the gaudy fake diamond ring. "What woman wouldn't want to marry a billionaire? All you have to do is prove you're worthy of this instrument." The crowd's laughter starts as nervous chuckles but grows hungrier, sharper. Margaret Whitmore covers her mouth, eyes gleaming with anticipation. Senator Bradley adjusts his phone angle for a better shot. Pierce rises, brushing his knee with theatrical disgust. "Actually, let me be more specific about the terms of this engagement." He pauses for effect, letting the tension build. I want you to play Paganini's Caprice No. 24, the most technically demanding piece ever written for violin. Gasps ripple through the crowd. Even the classical musicians exchange shocked glances. Marcus Brooks, the renowned violinist attending tonight's gala, leans forward with obvious concern. You have exactly 5 minutes, Pierce continues, consulting his Patek Philippe watch. And not one note out of place, not one rhythm was missed. Perfection or the wedding's off. His entourage erupts in delighted laughter. Jonathan, you're wicked, Margaret squeals. The poor girl doesn't even know what Paganini is. Pierce's smile turns razor sharp. Oh, but wait, there's more. He signals his assistant, who produces a stack of papers with obvious theatrical preparation. I've brought actual marriage documents, legal contracts. We can make this official right here, right now. The ballroom's energy shifts from uncomfortable to electric. This isn't just humiliation. It's a spectacle designed for viral consumption. Pierce's followers flood the comments. Yes, this is why we love Pierce. About to go viral. But first, Pierce announces, moving closer to Amelia, let's make sure our bride-to-be is properly prepared for her audition. He signals the server carrying wine. Oops. The red liquid splashes across Amelia's hands, staining her white uniform sleeves crimson. So clumsy of me. Now you'll have to play with sticky fingers. Hope that doesn't affect your natural talent. The crowd roars approval. Cameras capture every angle of the wine dripping from her hands like stage blood. Oh dear, Pierce continues with mock concern. And I just remembered this violin was freshly tuned yesterday. But the humidity here might have affected the strings. You'll need to tune it yourself first, of course. Any real musician can do that, right? He holds the instrument just out of her reach, forcing her to step forward into the spotlight's harsh glare. Unless you'd prefer to start with something easier? Maybe a plastic toy from the children's menu? His assistant produces a child's violin from seemingly nowhere, clearly another prepared prop. The crowd explodes in laughter. Someone shouts, "Give her the kiddie version." Pierce's voice rises above the chaos. Actually, let's make this truly memorable. He points to a small platform near the auction display. You'll perform standing on one leg, for dramatic effect, of course. We want our wedding video to be unforgettable. The humiliation layers upon itself like a carefully constructed trap. Wine-stained hands, impossible musical demands, physical challenges designed for failure. All captured by dozens of cameras, broadcast to millions of viewers hungry for schadenfreude. And just to make things interesting, Pierce adds, his voice dripping with false generosity, when you inevitably fail, I'll donate an extra $1 million to tonight's cause. Think of it as compensation for the entertainment value. Marcus Brooks stands abruptly. This is enough. Sit down, Marcus, Pierce snaps, his mask slipping momentarily. Unless you'd like to explain to these good people why you're defending mediocrity. The renowned violinist reluctantly takes his seat, clearly wrestling with the social dynamics of intervention versus self-preservation. Pierce returns his attention to Amelia, who stands trembling under the spotlights, wine still dripping from her fingers onto the marble floor. Her champagne tray lies forgotten on a nearby table. So, my dear, he says, voice thick with anticipated victory. Do you accept my proposal? Will you take this impossible challenge and become Mrs. Jonathan Pierce for approximately 30 seconds? He extends the Stradivarius toward her like a poisoned apple. Or would you prefer to return to your natural habitat, the kitchen, and leave music to those actually qualified to create it? The ballroom holds its breath. Phone record. Millions watch online. The trap has been set with surgical precision. All that remains is to see whether his victim will step into it willingly. The ballroom silence stretches like a held breath. 200 pairs of eyes wait for Amelia's inevitable retreat, her surrender to the impossible challenge designed for her failure. Pierce's satisfied smirk widens as he watches her trembling hands, wine still dripping onto Italian marble. But something shifts in Amelia's posture. A memory surfaces through the humiliation, her grandmother's weathered voice from years ago, when young Amelia cried after a failed audition. Baby girl, your music doesn't live in other people's opinions. It lives in your soul, and nobody can touch your soul unless you let them. Another memory. Her Juilliard professor's first lesson. The violin doesn't care about your circumstances, Amelia. It only responds to your truth. The acceptance letters hidden under her bed. The dreams she abandoned not from lack of talent, but from lack of choice. The music that still flows through her fingers every time she unconsciously taps rhythms against her leg during subway rides. Pierce's voice cuts through her thoughts. Come now, sweetheart. We don't have all night. Your shift supervisor is probably wondering where you've wandered off to. The crowd's laughter feels distant now, muffled by something rising inside her chest. Not anger, something deeper. Something that has been sleeping for 8 months under a bedsheet in a queen's apartment. Amelia sets down her champagne tray with deliberate precision. The crystal doesn't rattle. Her hands, despite the wine, move with steady purpose. She looks directly into Pierce's eyes for the first time since this nightmare began. When she speaks, her voice carries across the ballroom with unexpected clarity and strength. I accept your proposal, Mr. Pierce. The murmur of surprise ripples through the crowd. Pierce's smirk falters slightly. This wasn't part of his script. But, Amelia continues, stepping forward into the spotlight's harsh glare, when I play this piece, it won't be for your entertainment. It won't be for your fake marriage proposal. It'll be for every dream that people like you have tried to kill. Her voice grows stronger with each word. It'll be for every person in this room who thinks talent comes with a price tag, for everyone who believes worth is determined by zip code or skin color or the uniform someone wears to survive. She reaches for the Stradivarius, her wine-stained fingers steady now. And Mr. Pierce, when I finish playing Paganini's Caprice 24 perfectly, on one leg with whatever other obstacles you want to add, you'll honor your proposal, in front of everyone, in front of your millions of followers. Pierce's confident expression cracks slightly. This isn't the cowering retreat he expected. This is something else entirely. Because, Amelia concludes, lifting the priceless violin with the reverence it deserves, dreams deferred are not dreams destroyed, and you're about to learn the difference. The ballroom erupts in shocked whispers. Marcus Brooks leans forward, recognition flickering in his eyes. Pierce's live-stream chat explodes with confusion and anticipation. The trap has been accepted, but perhaps not by the person Pierce intended to catch. Amelia lifts the Stradivarius to her shoulder, and instantly something feels wrong. The strings are loose, deliberately loosened. She plucks each one softly, confirming her suspicion. 2 of the 4 strings have been tampered with, nearly severed. Pierce's sabotage. The realization should devastate her. Instead, it ignites something fierce in her chest. She looks directly at Pierce, whose smirk has returned full force. Equipment malfunction, he announces to the crowd with theatrical disappointment. I guess our wedding will have to wait. These old instruments are so temperamental. But Amelia surprises everyone, including herself. Her voice cuts through his fake sympathy with quiet steel. No problem. Paganini was famous for playing with broken strings. Let's make this interesting. The ballroom gasps. Even Marcus Brooks sits bolt upright. What she's suggesting is virtually impossible. Playing Paganini's most demanding piece with only 2 functional strings borders on the supernatural. You can't be serious, Pierce sputters, his confidence wavering for the first time. Deadly serious. Amelia begins tuning the 2 remaining strings with professional precision, her fingers finding their mark despite the wine still sticky on her hands. Unless you'd prefer to back out of your own challenge? The crowd murmurs with grudging respect. This isn't the terrified retreat they expected. Pierce's live-stream chat erupts. Holy shit, is this real? She's actually going to try. Pierce recovers quickly, sensing opportunity in the sabotage revelation. Well, if you insist on making excuses before you even begin, he shrugs to his audience. I suppose we'll witness exactly what happens when delusion meets reality. Margaret Whitmore leans forward in her seat. Jonathan, maybe this has gone far enough. Nonsense! Pierce cuts her off sharply. The show must go on. Our entertainment for the evening demands nothing less than complete authenticity. His assistant adjusts the livestream angle, ensuring Pierce's confident face dominates the frame. The viewer count climbs past 150,000 as word spreads across social media. Comments flood in. This is insane! She's going to fail so hard! Pierce is savage! Amelia steps onto the small platform Pierce designated, balancing on her right leg as demanded. The spotlight burns against her skin, but she's performed under harsher conditions, hospital waiting rooms where she played for dying patients during her volunteer work at Juilliard. The classical musicians in the room exchange knowing glances. They understand the mathematical impossibility of what she's attempting. Paganini's Caprice No. 24 requires rapid string crossings, complex fingerings, and technical precision that challenges even master violinists with perfect instruments. 5 minutes starting now, Pierce announces, consulting his Rolex with theatrical precision. Remember, not one mistake or the engagement is off. She closes her eyes and finds her center. The ballroom noise fades. The cameras disappear. Even Pierce's cruel smile becomes irrelevant. There is only the violin, only the music that has lived in her soul through every long night of washing dishes, every morning of serving coffee to people who look through her like glass. The opening notes of Paganini's Caprice No. 24 emerge from the Stradivarius like a prayer made audible. The effect is immediate and electric. Conversations die mid-sentence. Servers stop clearing tables. Even Pierce's smug entourage falls silent as something impossible unfolds before their eyes. Amelia's technique is flawless despite the limitations. Her bow work compensates for the missing strings with micro-adjustments that create harmonies that shouldn't exist. She's not just playing the piece, she's reinventing it, finding musical pathways that four-string players never explore. The wine on her hands becomes like rosin, improving her grip rather than hindering it. The single-leg stance forces her to find balance through her music rather than her body, creating a swaying motion that makes the performance almost dance-like. Senator Bradley whispers to his wife, "This is impossible. How is she compensating for those missing strings?" His wife, a former conservatory student, shakes her head in amazement. "She's using artificial harmonics and extended techniques I've never seen before. This is beyond virtuosity. This is innovation." Pierce watches his viral humiliation plan crumble in real time. This isn't the failure he orchestrated. It's artistry of the highest order. His live stream viewership spikes past 250,000, but the comments have shifted dramatically. "This is incredible. Who is she? Pierce looks like an idiot." The first movement builds with mathematical precision. Amelia's muscle memory awakens like a sleeping giant, 8 months of suppressed training exploding back to life. Her fingers remember every lesson, every late-night practice session, every moment of pure joy when music flowed through her like electricity. Each phrase carries technical challenges that would stump professional violinists, but Amelia approaches them with innovative solutions born from necessity. Where 4 strings would normally handle the melody, she creates the same effect with 2 through rapid position changes and bow techniques that blur the line between possible and miraculous. The classical elite in attendance, concert violinists, conservatory professors, symphony conductors, lean forward in their seats. They're witnessing something unprecedented. Not just recovery from sabotage, but transformation of limitation into artistic breakthrough. A renowned music critic in the audience pulls out his phone, frantically typing notes. Revolutionary technique, impossible fingering, genius adaptation. He's already composing the review that will launch Amelia's career. Marcus Brooks rises from his seat, recognition flooding his features. "My God," he whispers to his dinner companion. "I know who she is. Amelia Thompson. She was my most gifted student before she disappeared 3 years ago." The second movement flows seamlessly from the first. Amelia's positioning becomes increasingly balletic, her wine-stained uniform transforming from symbol of servitude into costume of artistic rebellion. Every note carries emotional weight beyond technical mastery. Pierce makes one desperate attempt to salvage his plan. "This is ridiculous!" he shouts over the music, his voice cracking with obvious desperation. "Anyone can make noise. This isn't real music!" But the crowd has turned against him completely. Several guests shush him angrily, others glare with open disgust. His own entourage shifts uncomfortably, distancing themselves from their suddenly toxic leader. "Shut up, Pierce," Margaret Whitmore snaps, her usual social politeness abandoned. "We're witnessing greatness." The ballroom's acoustic design amplifies every note perfectly. Amelia's sound fills the space with warmth and precision that makes grown classical experts weep openly. The Stradivarius responds to her touch like it's been waiting centuries for hands that truly understand its potential. Amelia reaches the notorious technical passage, tremolo combined with rapid-fire arpeggios that challenge even master violinists. With only 2 strings, it should be impossible. She makes it look effortless. The missing strings force her to use techniques most violinists never attempt: artificial harmonics, extended positions, bow manipulations that create multiple voices from minimal resources. She transforms limitation into liberation, proving that true artistry transcends perfect conditions. Her grandmother's voice echoes in her memory. "Music isn't about having everything perfect, baby girl. It's about making beautiful things from whatever you've got." The ballroom exists in suspended animation. Even the servers have stopped pretending to work, drawn into the magnetic pull of witnessing something unprecedented. Phone cameras capture every angle, but the technology feels inadequate to contain what's happening. Pierce's assistant holds his phone with shaking hands, watching the live stream comments flood past faster than he can read. "Genius! Pierce is finished! Someone sign her now!" The viewer count approaches 400,000 people witnessing Pierce's public destruction in real time. The wine stain on her uniform catches the spotlight repeatedly, transforming from symbol of humiliation into badge of honor. She wears it like war paint, proof that she can create beauty even when the world tries to dirty her hands. Every note builds toward the climactic passage that has ended countless professional careers. Amelia's breath control becomes visible, not from exhaustion, but from the controlled intensity required to maintain perfection while balancing on one leg and compensating for missing strings. The third movement explodes with cascading runs that seem to emerge from multiple instruments. Her bow work achieves the impossible, single strokes creating harmonies that violate acoustic physics. The Stradivarius sings in ways its makers never imagined possible. Marcus Brooks approaches the performance area, tears streaming down his face. Recognition and pride war in his expression. This is his student, his protege, proving that true artistry transcends circumstances. "Ladies and gentlemen," he announces to the stunned crowd, his voice thick with emotion, "you are witnessing one of the most gifted musicians I have ever had the privilege to teach." The revelation hits the room like lightning. Pierce unknowingly targeted a classically trained prodigy, and not just any prodigy, but one of Juilliard's most celebrated recent graduates. Pierce's face has gone ash white. His billion-dollar empire, built on the premise that success proves superiority, crumbles as a woman in a catering uniform demonstrates excellence that his money can never buy. The final technical passage approaches, double-stopped artificial harmonics combined with left-hand pizzicato that challenges the laws of physics. Amelia executes it flawlessly, her fingers dancing across the limited strings with supernatural precision. Amelia's final passage soars to impossible heights. Each note builds toward the crescendo that will either crown her triumph or expose her limitations. But there are no limitations, only possibilities she's creating in real time. The ancient Stradivarius wood resonates with music that transcends technical perfection and becomes something approaching spiritual experience. The final run builds to a crescendo that makes the ballroom's crystal chandeliers vibrate sympathetically. The last note hangs in the air like a benediction, pure and perfect and impossibly sustained. Then silence. Complete, absolute silence that stretches 5 eternal seconds. Marcus Brooks begins slow clapping, his applause echoing like thunder in the crystalline quiet. The thunderstorm breaks. Marcus Brooks's slow clap builds into a roar as 200 guests explode into standing ovation. The ballroom erupts with applause so thunderous it drowns out Pierce's live stream audio, forcing his assistant to frantically adjust settings. But this isn't ordinary applause. This is the sound of witnessing the impossible. Margaret Whitmore stands first among the elite, tears streaming down her Botox cheeks. "Extraordinary," she breathes, clapping until her diamond rings catch the light like fireworks. "Absolutely extraordinary." Senator Bradley pulls out his phone, but not to record, to delete the earlier footage of his own cruel laughter. His wife grips his arm, whispering, "We need to apologize. Publicly." The classical musicians rush toward the stage. A renowned conductor from the Metropolitan Opera pushes through the crowd, his face flushed with excitement. "Who are you?" he demands of Amelia. "Where have you been hiding?" Pierce stands alone in the chaos, his confident smirk replaced by slack-jawed horror. His entourage has melted away like rats abandoning a sinking ship. Margaret avoids his eyes. Senator Bradley turns his back entirely. "This can't be happening," Pierce mutters, watching his live-stream chat transform into a waterfall of condemnation. Pierce is trash. Most embarrassing moment ever. Sue him for discrimination. Boycott Pierce Tech. His follower count plummets in real time. 2.3 million becomes 2.2 comma, then 2.1. The numbers fall like dominoes as the viral moment he created destroys him instead of his intended victim. Marcus Brooks reaches the stage, his voice carrying across the ballroom with obvious emotion. "Ladies and gentlemen, I present Amelia Thompson, Juilliard class of 2019, full scholarship recipient, and the most naturally gifted violinist I've encountered in 30 years of teaching." The crowd gasps. Pierce's sabotage attempt wasn't just cruel, it was spectacularly ignorant. He targeted a prodigy and handed her a global platform to prove her excellence. Security cameras mounted throughout the ballroom have captured everything. Pierce's wine accident, his deliberate tampering with the violin strings, his racist taunts. The footage spreads across social media faster than his PR team can contain it. Amelia gently places the Stradivarius in its case, still balancing perfectly on one leg. She steps down from the platform with quiet dignity, her movements graceful despite everything Pierce put her through. The moment she faces him, the ballroom falls silent again. 200 phones focus on what happens next. 500,000 viewers hold their breath. Pierce tries to recover, his voice cracking. "Well, that was entertaining. I suppose we should call this whole thing Mr. Pierce." Amelia's voice cuts through his babbling like a blade through silk. "You made a proposal." The crowd leans forward. Pierce's face drains of color. "You promised to marry whoever could play this violin," she continues, her tone conversational but carrying steel underneath. "I played it. So—" The pause stretches like a held breath. Every camera in the room focuses on Pierce's sweating face. "When's our wedding?" The ballroom explodes. Laughter, applause, and shocked gasps blend into chaos. Pierce stammers, his mouth opening and closing like a fish drowning in air. That was just a joke," he manages weakly. Amelia's smile could cut glass. The wine stain on her uniform catches the light like a badge of honor. "Just like your entire life." The mic drop moment hits like lightning. The crowd roars approval. Pierce's live-stream chat becomes a celebration of his destruction. His stock price, already falling in after-hours trading, plummets another 5%. "But I'll be busy anyway," Amelia adds, her voice carrying across the silent ballroom with perfect clarity. "Juilliard called. They want their prodigy back." Pierce stands speechless, his billion-dollar empire crumbling around him while a woman in a catering uniform walks away victorious. The viral moment he created to humiliate her has become the most expensive mistake of his very privileged life. The hashtag #violin mic drop begins trending globally within minutes. Pierce Technologies board calls an emergency meeting, and somewhere in Queens, grandmother Rosa watches her granddaughter's triumph on a live stream that's already been viewed by millions. Justice, it turns out, has perfect pitch. The aftermath unfolds like dominoes falling in perfect sequence. Within 24 hours, Amelia's life transforms completely. Marcus Brooks doesn't just offer her a return to Juilliard, he fast-tracks her into the graduate program with full funding and a teaching assistantship. "We made a mistake letting you go," he tells her during their private meeting. "Juilliard needs you more than you need us." The anonymous benefactor reveals himself that same evening, tech entrepreneur David Kim, who attended the gala and witnessed Pierce's cruelty firsthand. "I've established a $100,000 fund for your grandmother's medical care," he tells Amelia over the phone. "No strings attached, just one human being helping another." But the ripple effects extend far beyond personal victory. Pierce Technologies stock continues its free fall. The board conducts an emergency meeting at 6 a.m., trading phone calls and urgent emails as damage control specialists scramble to contain the viral catastrophe. Pierce himself sits in his penthouse office, watching news coverage of his humiliation loop endlessly across financial networks. Tech billionaire's racist humiliation backfires spectacularly, reads the CNN Chiron. Pierce Technologies faces massive boycott after viral violin video. Major clients begin canceling contracts. The city of San Francisco announces it will not renew Pierce Technologies' municipal software deal worth $40 million annually. 3 board members submit resignation letters before noon. Pierce's personal social media accounts become graveyards. His follower count crashes from 2.3 million to 800,000, then continues falling as verified accounts unfollow him publicly. His blue checkmark disappears. Twitter suspends his account pending investigation into harassment policies. But perhaps most devastating of all, his mother calls. "Jonathan," her voice carries deep disappointment through the phone line. "I raised you better than this. What you did to that young woman was beneath contempt." Meanwhile, Amelia's story ignites something larger than individual redemption. The Amelia Thompson Scholarship Fund launches within 48 hours, crowdfunded by people who watched her triumph and wanted to help others like her. The goal: full musical education funding for service workers pursuing artistic dreams. Donations pour in from unexpected sources. The server who watched Amelia's humiliation contributes $50, half her weekly tips. A retired music teacher in Ohio sends $100. Classical musicians worldwide organize benefit concerts. The fund reached $2.3 million in its first week. Grandmother Rosa recovers enough strength to attend Amelia's return recital at Juilliard. Sitting in the front row, an oxygen tank beside her wheelchair, she watches her granddaughter perform Brahms' Violin Concerto with the student orchestra. "She never lost it," Rosa whispers to Marcus Brooks during intermission. The music was always there, waiting. The performance techniques Amelia developed during her sabotaged recital, playing complex pieces with limited strings, revolutionized violin pedagogy. Music conservatories worldwide begin teaching the Thompson method, turning limitation into innovation. Pierce's humiliation serves an unexpected purpose. Mandatory sensitivity training becomes standard at tech companies across Silicon Valley. His viral failure becomes a case study in business schools, teaching future executives about leadership, humility, and the price of casual cruelty. Pierce himself faces more than embarrassment. The Manhattan District Attorney's Office launches an investigation into discrimination charges. The recording equipment he used to live stream his entertainment becomes evidence of premeditated harassment. His legal team negotiates quietly behind closed doors. Pierce agrees to establish a $10 million scholarship fund for minority students pursuing arts education. It's portrayed as voluntary philanthropy, but insiders know it's admission of guilt wrapped in PR damage control. The Stradivarius violin returns to museum display, but its story now includes Amelia's performance. The placard reads, "On the evening of November 6, 2025, this instrument was played by Amelia Thompson in one of the most remarkable performances in classical music history, proving that true artistry transcends circumstance." 6 months later, Amelia performs her graduate recital to a sold-out Lincoln Center audience. Ticket proceeds benefit the scholarship fund that bears her name. She wears a simple black dress instead of a catering uniform, but the wine stain from that November evening has become part of musical legend. Pierce attends anonymously, sitting in the back row wearing dark glasses and a baseball cap. Whether he comes seeking redemption or simply to witness the talent he tried to destroy, no one knows. He leaves during intermission without speaking to anyone. The program notes include a simple dedication. "For Grandmother Rosa, who taught me that music lives in the soul, not the circumstances. And for everyone who has ever been told they don't belong, your moment is coming." After the performance, during the standing ovation that lasts 7 minutes, Amelia's eyes find the empty seat where Pierce sat. She doesn't smile in triumph. She simply nods, a gesture that somehow contains both forgiveness and warning. Some dreams, once awakened, cannot be destroyed. And sometimes the most profound victories happen when people underestimate the power of hidden excellence. The music plays on. In a world obsessed with judging books by their covers, the most extraordinary stories are often written by hands the world refuses to see. Amelia's music was never about proving Pierce wrong. It was about proving to herself that dreams deferred are not dreams destroyed. The violin didn't make her extraordinary. She made the violin transcendent. Her grandmother Rosa understood this truth from the beginning. Sitting in that cramped queen's apartment, listening to the steady rhythm of an oxygen machine, she knew that talent doesn't live in circumstances. It lives in the soul. And souls, unlike situations, are unbreakable. Pierce's mistake wasn't just cruelty, it was blindness. He saw a uniform and assumed limitation. He saw circumstances and mistook them for character. He built his empire on the dangerous delusion that success proves superiority, never realizing that his wealth couldn't buy what Amelia possessed naturally, the ability to transform limitation into liberation. The wine stain on her sleeve became war paint. The broken violin strings became an innovation. The impossible challenge became destiny fulfilled. But this story isn't really about one billionaire's spectacular downfall or one woman's triumphant rise. It's about a question that haunts millions of people every day. What dreams are you carrying in your back pocket, waiting for someone else's permission to pursue? How many Amelias are out there right now, serving coffee to people who can't see their genius? How many future masters are washing dishes while symphonies play in their heads? How many world changers are waiting tables, driving ride shares, cleaning offices, their talents hidden behind uniforms that render them invisible? The truth Pierce learned too late is this. Excellence doesn't discriminate, but opportunity often does. Talent doesn't come with a price tag, but recognition sometimes requires courage. And sometimes the only difference between invisible and unstoppable is one moment of decision. The choice to step forward when the world expects you to step back. Amelia didn't just play the violin that night. She played the long game of delayed justice. She played for every person who has ever been dismissed, underestimated, or treated as less than their worth. She played the soundtrack of dreams that refuse to die. What would happen if you stopped waiting for the world to invite you to the table and simply showed them you belong there? What if your moment of truth is closer than you think? Your stage is waiting. Your instrument, whatever it may be, is ready. The only question is, when the spotlight finds you, will you be ready to make it sing? This story reminds us that genius comes in all uniforms, and sometimes the most profound performances happen when we least expect them. If you believe in the power of hidden potential being revealed, subscribe for more stories where the underestimated become undeniable. Next week, the janitor who solved MIT's impossible equation, because brilliance doesn't always come with degrees. Hit that notification bell if you're ready to see more moments where justice is served with perfect timing. Your story might be next.
The story you heard today wasn't cleaned up. It was told exactly as it happened. At Black Voices Uncut, we believe that's the only way truth can live. If you felt something, hit like, comment, and your reaction, and subscribe. Every week, we bring you voices that refuse to be silenced.